Of course, Preakness this past Saturday at Laurel Park. Napoleon Solo, the winner in the Preakness. We are joined now here on GCR by a man who now, for the rest of his life, will be known as a Preakness champion. He is the trainer of Napoleon Solo. He's Chad Summers, and he's with us here on GCR. Chad, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us, and congratulations.
Thanks so much, Glenn. I appreciate it.
Chad, can you describe, like, now that we're 2 days removed, like, when those words hit you, Preakness champion, like, what kind of comes to mind? What does that mean to you? How does it feel that that is part of your story now moving forward?
Well, it kind of feels a little bit surreal. One more time, please. To me, it's something that as a kid growing up, look, I wasn't involved in horse racing. My dad was an electrical contractor, and we just really loved all sports and loved horse racing. And so you watch the Triple Crown races, with some popcorn at home. It wasn't something I ever kind of dreamed of doing, really. I mean, we went to the Kentucky Derby for the first time. I was a senior in high school in 2001, and it was just something that we fell in love with, and just through hard work and attrition and everything else, we kind of made a little spot for ourselves, and now we're a winner.
Tell me about Napoleon Solo's journey, right? Like, why you knew that
One more time.
Preakness was the path for Napoleon Solo, and when you knew that this horse had a genuine chance at beating the top 3-year-olds in the world.
Yeah, so I mean, last year he kind of showed off his brilliance. He won a big race in New York called the Champagne Stakes. At that point, instead of going to the Breeders' Cup, which is kind of like our championship of the end of the year, it was in California. I thought he had kind of done enough as a 2-year-old to set up for these 3-year-old classics. Obviously, pointing to the Kentucky Derby, that was always the game plan. When he came back from the rest and started working out, we just got a little bit behind the 8 ball. Ran him in February. He just wasn't ready. It was almost like a spring training game for us. And unfortunately, at that point, you have one more shot because everything is points on how to qualify for the Derby. And he had 15 points at that point. The 1, 2, 3 finish in the next race would have put him in the Kentucky Derby. But he got a foot bruise, which is almost like a turf toe if you're like think about the NFL or some of those sprinters you see in track and field. And we missed 5 days of training. Had to train in a special shoe. And so when we ran in the next race, he just came up a little bit short. He had the lead with about 500 yards to go, was second with 200 yards to go, and just got swallowed up and finished fifth. But at that point, we just decided to point for the Preakness instead of waiting to see if we would have qualified for the Derby, which at some point we would have got in. But we felt it was better to just come in as a fresh horse into the Preakness.
Man, boy. Sometimes things become like a bit of a blessing in disguise. Is that
Exactly.
right? Like, do you think at all like, hey, no, actually, I think we would have won the Kentucky Derby, and so, or do you feel like, man, like, what is that maybe the best turf toe, if you will, in the history of sport?
Look, it's definitely, we're not going to complain about it as much as the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and the Kentucky Derby. We take nothing away from winning the crown jewel of the Triple Crown and the Preakness. Obviously it was a smaller crowd this year, a lot of changes going on in that greater Baltimore area between Laurel. Next year will be at Pimlico again. But look, I was here in Maryland during the COVID Preakness in September, so I've seen a lot of unusual things happen in the state of Maryland when it comes to the Preakness.
Hey, man. Chad Summers, trainer Napoleon Solo, is with us here on GCR. Chad, you said in the lead up to the race that like you expected Napoleon Solo to be out near the front to give you a chance. As you were watching the race unfold, when did it strike you like, oh, he's got this? This is exactly where he wants to be.
So at the start of the race, a lot of times you can make a game plan and then things change as soon as the race starts. This is the odd example of you make a game plan and everything went exactly according to plan. I had planned it out with jockey Paco Lopez. We had talked on Friday and talked again on Saturday after watching a lot of replays and doing a lot of film study. Horse racing, there's a lot of similarities in other sports to horse racing that people don't look at from that standpoint. But for us, it's about watching replays and doing the work and seeing the other horses and trying to figure out the game plans of others along with the game plan for ourselves to give us the best chance to win the race. And, we thought if we can get a horse to kind of be a little bit of a rabbit that can just kind of set the fractions for us and we can sit and bide our time, but then make first move and put the pressure on them. We didn't want to wait too late and have it kind of as a jumbled up mess. So we wanted to move early. So once we passed that first horse, the one horse that was in front of us, we just went on about our business and dared them to come and get us. And fortunately, they weren't able to.
No doubt
One more
about it.
time.
Strong finish. All right, so I think a lot of people have seen this video that America's Best Racing shared of your dad and your son. For anyone that hasn't, we're sharing it on the screen right now for everybody to see it. But can you tell me about it's? I mean, this is your son is the real star of the Preakness, obviously. With all due respect to Napoleon Solo, your son's clearly the star of the Preakness. Is he like this for every race? Is this, if we had the camera on you, is this what you would look like in that moment?
So they said that he was my mini me for sure. That's good. Obviously very animated and very excited, and yeah, no, he's the same way for a $5,000 claimer as he is for the Preakness. And the good thing is we won, because I'm not sure, they could have had the expletives that would have come out of his mouth at 14 for if he lost. Maybe I'm not a good father, maybe I am. I guess that's here and there how people look at it, but he's very passionate. He loves the horses. He comes out as much as he can. He plays a lot of sports, and he loves coming out and bringing his friends out to the barn. And, that's what we need, is that next generation to get involved. You don't want it to be a situation where the sport's dying. It used to be a thing where every day you pick up the newspaper and you read the obituary section, you lost a horse racing fan. And, we don't want that. We want to make sure that the sport's growing, and hopefully we can leave it in good hands with people like my son and all his friends.
I was going to ask, like, is your son? But first of all, can you tell me what your son's name is, just because I don't know?
Sean Ryder, actually, believe it or not. His
no.
name is Ryder.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you?
But he's 14. He's in 8th grade.
Have you sensed that he has a genuine interest in this being a path for him moving forward, to stay in the sport?
Yeah, like kind of scary, and kind of try and keep him away from him as much as I can. But he was about 2 years old, and I got a calendar, like a thoroughbred calendar, in the mail, and he couldn't read or write or anything at that point. And you opened up the calendar, and the 12 horses, the 12 horses for every month, he named every horse and every jockey that was in those pictures without even being able to read it. He just knew who they were from watching videos and watching live and all that kind of stuff. And he's just kind of been a savant when it comes to that kind of stuff. And, I encourage him to play with his friends and enjoy his childhood. But he loves the horse. He tapes all the races. He comes back and watches them after his baseball games. Don't tell him the results. And if a horse loses, normally it's my fault. Sometimes it's the jockey's fault. But he has a plan for where they have to run next.
And he's going to tell you what you did wrong in the process.
100%. Yes.
That actually is great, man. And that's so. Now, actually, the dynamic is also fascinating to me, Chad, where he's in one row and your dad's in the other row. Is that because your dad knows, like, don't get too close to him? He's gonna get, like, tell me about that dynamic.
Well, my dad was complaining that he's getting a little bit older and his eyesight's not as good, so he wanted to watch it on the TV. So he was watching more on the TV, and my son was kind of going back and forth between the live and the TV. It looked like he was the racetrack announcer as much as he kept kind of glancing back at that TV. He looked like Paco, actually, the way Paco was glancing over. But at the end of the day, I think just that's the way it worked out. And for me, I'm a very superstitious guy. Friday, we'd run a couple of horses. I tried a couple of spots. I don't run that much at Laurel for where to watch the race. We lost both those races. So on Saturday, I tried another spot, and we won the 5th race. So I said, everybody assume the positions, go back to where you were for the 5th race. And that's why I'm not with them for that video. I'm where I watched the race, and they're where they watched the race, and it all worked out at the end.
Hey, man, you know what? I respect that. That nobody thinks about it, but it's like when you're watching your favorite team and things aren't going well in the first quarter, you gotta mix it up. You gotta do something else in quarter number 2.
That's all you can do.
You bring up, I haven't run a lot at Laurel, but like I know you were very, in the post-race press conference, you were very complimentary of Laurel. Of course, the circumstance not the one that anybody wants, but your experience there, no one's ever going to ask in 20 years, oh, you were a Preakness winner, but wasn't it the one at Laurel? Like, that's never going to matter. But what was your experience like there? And maybe we'll go down, like, as it particularly memorable because there's not going to be many more races at Laurel moving forward.
Well, I mean, the good thing is I'm going to be in the history books of all those, those bars that have that trivia contest on like those random Wednesdays. at some point this will be a trivia question, and we'll be the answer.
Who won the only ever? That's a great point. Who won the only ever Preakness at Laurel?
So all the listeners that are listening now, they can write it down when they go to those bar night trivia contests. Maybe they can get a point out of it. But look, no, it's sad. I mean, Laurel's it's a beautiful facility. They did a lot of work 10, 12 years ago upgrading the facilities. Anyone that hasn't been there, I highly recommend going. They're still running races over there now. Hopefully through the rest of the year. You'll take a little break over the summer to go to Virginia and Colonial. They'll come back in the fall. But they got a sports bar over there. That's tremendous. They got TVs all over the place. You don't have to just watch Laurel. You can watch some of the ball games or some of the other racetracks. And the food is really, really good for a racetrack. And I really highly recommend it. Anyone hasn't been to Laurel, look, the Preakness might not be there, but they're still running really, really good horse races there the rest of the year.
I know you've already answered the question. Did you, after the horse won, did you think at all about – Maybe we go to Belmont. Maybe we try to do a match race type of thing. Did you consider any of that at all, altering the plan after the race?
No, it's a long year. We like to map out plans. Our goal is to get to the Haskell. Our owner's from New Jersey. The Haskell's at Monmouth Park. It's $1 million race. If you win, you get an automatic berth to the Breeders' Cup, which is kind of our end of the year championships. And so that's what we're going to do is we're going to point for that. And anybody that wants to see us there, we're telling them right now where we're going to be.
Is there any, Chad, the conversation, we've been dealing with it, of course, in Maryland for some time. We want the Triple Crown to matter. Like, we want these three races to matter. Do you have any thought about what this needs to look like in order for it to be practical for trainers, for owners in particular, to say, yeah, we want to run all of these races or at least multiple races, like what it would need to look like schedule-wise, calendar-wise, for that to become a reality again for the sport?
It's just a little bit of a different thing. Look, at one part of me as a historian of the game says keep it the same as it is, and march on, right? But then you look at the NFL, and they went to the 17-game schedule, and while the players didn't like it at first, nobody's really complaining now. The records are made to be broken, and they've been broken, obviously, because you have the extra game. It's just a new generation, a new era. The horses now, the way they're bred, they're not bred as durable as they were before. They're bred more for speed. And when you're bred for speed, sometimes you need a little bit more time to recover because you're not as much of a heavy horse. You're more of a lighter framed, bodied horse. And so, when you're made differently, you recover differently. And so I think that's why a lot of times people need that little bit extra time of recovery to get to that next stage. And that's the situation where we're in right now. And it's something that we need to discuss in the industry. Unfortunately, the tracks don't talk to each other enough. The horsemen don't talk to each other enough. We need a commissioner of racing in the worst way. And you see it in every other sport. We don't have it here, and we don't have a central body. And so things get mixed and lost in long translation. And what I call is we plastical burst ourselves a lot. We shoot ourselves in the foot. And it just kind of, it's to the detriment of everybody and the benefit of nobody. So, hopefully at some point we can all get together in the industry and rally around. And like I said, if this gives me a little bit more of a platform on winning this race, then I'm going to take every advantage of it and try and help the industry as much as I can, because it's something that obviously I love. And you see 3 generations of my family are very passionate about.
Is it a month? Is that the right time frame? Like I know that folks in Maryland have talked about pushing it back a week. My gut tells me that doesn't do anything. Does it need to be a month separation between the races?
I think a week would help. I think a month would be more beneficial. What happens is then, you're kind of walking on other racetracks and other things. But if you want to make the Triple Crown a prestigious thing, I think a month is probably the right answer for sure.
That's the sense that I've gotten. All right. What did you do to, like, after all the cameras are away, after like the day the track ended, what did you do to allow yourself to celebrate on Saturday, Chad?
So I always get myself in a jackpot with this. When I won my first ever race, it was a $2 million race in Dubai, and we had no idea what to do there. So we went to a TGI Fridays at 2 o'clock in the morning. This time we went, by the time we wrapped everything up, it was about 11 o'clock. I said, what's still open here in Baltimore, or the Baltimore area with Laurel? So there was a Mexican restaurant open until midnight, right next to the DoubleTree Hotel. So I took my whole staff over there, the ownership, my family. We went over there. There was a DJ playing. He might have also been the chef because it took us about an hour and a half to get our food. But we didn't mind too much. We had a good time. There were some drinks flowing, and everybody had a good time.
Yeah, I guess you just won the Preakness. Like, it doesn't feel quite the same at that point. Chad Summers, congratulations, man. Awesome run, awesome performance, and now forever a Preakness champion. Really appreciate you spending time with us. I hope you enjoyed your time here in Maryland.
You got it. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.